It's Friday, November 15th, Saturday, November 16th in the Philippines, and we have a couple systems that we're going to be talking about today. The first one is going to be briefly Tropical Storm Sara in the Caribbean as it grazes the coast of Honduras today. But the main thing will be Typhoon Manyi in the Philippines as the system intensifies on approach. And I'll leave a timestamp so you can skip ahead right to this part of the video if you want to see that segment of the video. But like I said, we're going to briefly start with Sara. And the news is kind of mixed today with Sara. In terms of getting the system intensifying to potentially near hurricane intensity, the news is good there. Recon found yesterday that the system had made landfall in Honduras, and since then it's really just been grazing the coast of Honduras and is centered either right on the coast or just offshore of Honduras. And this has caused the system to struggle to consolidate an intercore structure at all. You can see most of the deep convection is way west of the system, bringing heavy rainfall to areas like even Cozumel up in the Yucatan Peninsula, way far away from the center of circulation. So in terms of wind impacts, we're good, and we don't expect much intensification as the system comes towards Belize over the next couple of days throughout the weekend. And right now the expectation is showing a tropical storm coming into the region, and I'll show you that on the forecast in just a moment. Now, like I mentioned yesterday, the wind is not the only impact of this, and really the wind is a minor impact compared to the rainfall that we're expecting to continue across Central America and now getting into Belize and Mexico as the system comes further west. We don't know how much rainfall has fallen over the past day in Central America. Potential conservative estimate could be 200, 250 millimeters of rainfall. It's possible, certainly is, that we've had more rainfall than that. But unfortunately, the forecast is for an additional 500 to 700 millimeters of rainfall across a fairly widespread area in northwestern Honduras, with some localized spots exceeding 750 millimeters right along that coast. And unfortunately, this is just a catastrophic rainfall event. For an area that is so susceptible to flooding, to be getting this amount of rainfall in just a few days, you know that you're probably going to see a lot of widespread flash flooding and mudslides. And of course, thoughts are with everyone here as the system continues to push through, when unfortunately we won't be able to get the system out until early next week fully. You can see on the Hurricane Center forecast just that. We see landfall sometime on Saturday or Sunday along the coastline of Belize, and it really doesn't clear the area fully until Monday morning once it enters the Bay of Campeche, as it begins to dissipate away as it moves back over water. So really the key message today is heavy rainfall is going to continue across Central America. We could also have some heavy rainfall fall here in Belize and Mexico along the Yucatan Peninsula. You can see here on that forecast a widespread region of 200 to 300 millimeters of rainfall as the system continues pushing west through those areas. Even far away from the landfall spot, we could have a lot of heavy rainfall persisting because this is a very large system. You can see it takes up most of the Western Caribbean. So we could have heavy rainfall extending quite far away from the center. Now, you may notice a difference from the forecast cone yesterday. Yesterday, we had a forecast showing a tropical depression entering the Gulf of Mexico early next week. Now, the good news is that, like I talked about yesterday, the environment in the Gulf of Mexico is not that favorable, especially because we're in mid-November. So anything that tries to come north out of this, especially interacting with land as much as the system is going to struggle a lot. And now models are really not too enthusiastic on showing the system remaining a tropical cyclone at all. And for that reason, the Hurricane Center now forecasts dissipation by early week as it moves into the Bay of Campeche. There may be some threat of some impacts from the remnants of Sara as it comes northeast, as it will be eventually recurving, so we could get some heavy rainfall, an increase of that along the coastlines of, say, Louisiana all the way to Florida. But in terms of impacts from potential hurricane, like models had shown several days ago, that is completely off the table right now. And the most you're going to look at here is mainly some gusty winds and heavy rainfall, and we're not expecting this to be a tropical system once it moves through. It will be more remnants of the tropical system once it does come through. So stay safe in Central America as Sara continues to push through. We're going to talk for the rest of the video about Typhoon Manyi, which is intensifying, unfortunately, as we expected it would over the nighttime hours. The system is nearing super typhoon intensity, and the expectation is that it will reach that intensity before landfall sometime tonight in the Philippines. Now, you may notice that is a bit earlier than we talked about yesterday. That's about 24 hours earlier. And the unfortunate aspect of this is now the system is trending further south. So we're now increasing or decreasing rather the time you have before landfall in the Philippines. And we're also increasing a threat here in the central Philippines of a direct hit from this typhoon. Now, if we look at this infrared imagery, we can see a very impressive sight on satellite. I'll pause it at the end here. You can see deep convection continuously wrapping around this eye, which is trying to fully clear out. It's having some difficulty. Perhaps, there may be some internal struggles with the system internally. We don't see much signs of an eyewall replacement cycle right now, but one thing that I do see that models have not really picked up is a light increase in wind shear coming out of the north. You can see if you look at the thunderstorms here north of the system's core, we have some shear out of the north from an upper level high pressure system near Usagi, further up here off your map. And it's unclear what impact this is having on the typhoon right now. This is a microwave pass that we had a couple of hours ago, and you can see we still had this very strong eye wall, and there really was no strong signs that this shear was taking a significant toll on the typhoon. But over time, this might cause some disruption. Right now, from what I can see, models have not caught on to the shear. So maybe we can luck out here and get the system to stop intensifying. But unfortunately, at this time, we're kind of out of time for an appreciable level of weakening to occur. This shear, if it does persist, will take a bit to get to the system's core, and we'll likely still be looking at something at or near super typhoon intensity once it does make landfall here in the Philippines. Now, perhaps some good news here for Luzon, because it is tracking south, we are avoiding most of the areas that got hit by Yingxing, Taraji, and Usagi. But unfortunately, we're still looking at very heavy rainfall coming into an area that has certainly gotten a lot of rainfall here, and that could lead to additional flooding issues across Luzon as the system does push through. You can see on the forecast from Pagasa, again, super typhoon expected here as it comes into the Philippines sometime tonight. This forecast is valid here at 11 p.m. tonight, and then weakening a little bit from land interaction and potentially that shear as it comes in for a landfall about 12 hours later on Sunday morning in Luzon. This has also been pulled back a little bit because of the more southerly track we're seeing today. And after landfall in Luzon, pretty quick weakening is expected. You can see losing typhoon status as it moves further west into the South China Sea. And right now, no significant threat to areas in China, Hainan, or Vietnam. The system is just forecast to weaken in a similar way to Yingxing and Taraji as they moved west throughout the South China Sea. That's all that I've got for today. Again, stay safe in the Central American region as Sara moves through, and also stay safe in the Philippines as Typhoon Manyi moves through. I'll have more videos on both of these systems tomorrow, and we'll probably talk about as well our cyclone in the Southeastern Indian Ocean and talk about the updates to that forecast tomorrow. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching.